Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everyone, so much for your patience. For whatever reason this morning, my computer is having some serious technical difficulties. And so I'm pre-recording this before I post it in our Reiki Heal Co-op group. So again, thank you for your patience. But this week, we are talking all about emotional intelligence. And I am going to check in with you about the two main emotional oils that I use to help with my emotional intelligence and emotional support. Who don't yet know me, my name is Hillary Wolf, and I am a Reiki practitioner, and I'm also a make your own magic coach. And I work with individuals to basically create magic in every aspect of their lives with the use of Reiki, with the use of universal laws, and with the use of essential oils. And when it comes to my coaching, I have a unique background in physiology, chemistry, biology, and anatomy. And so I bring kind of the science piece in to kind of a field that a lot of people think is really out there, especially when we're talking about emotional mastery and emotional intelligence. And when we're talking about emotional intelligence, it's all about choosing our emotions, allowing them to occur within our human experience, and then choosing something even greater for ourselves. And when we have this mindset, which we talked about last week, this mental mindset of positive emotions, when we are actually able to choose how our triggers, processes the world around us, and we get to choose where we're at emotionally, that makes all of the difference in the reality that we get to create for ourselves. But as humans, we have some serious emotions that hit us hard sometimes. And so today I'm going to talk about my two very favorite essential oils to use when it comes to really deep diving into the hard hitting emotions. And the first one is Copaiba. And I will probably even, for kind of a physical explanation as to what Copaiba is, I will post my YouTube video about Copaiba and about how it as a cannabinoid really supports our systems physically. But then the second one I'm going to talk about is rose. I don't know if you can see it. And rose, I work with doTERRA essential oils. Copaiba comes in just a neat oil, just the oil. And rose actually comes in a roller ball. It can come in a neat oil, but it's also just as effective in a roller ball. And when you have essential oils in roller balls, roller ball, dun, 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 you can literally roll it on your skin. You can get larger areas of your body, and oftentimes a carrier oil with a specific oil, so in this case it's fractionated coconut oil, is going to help drive those volatile chemicals into your skin faster and more effectively. But real quick, back up. For those of you who don't know a lot about essential oils are ultimately the immune system of a plant. And their chemistry and their molecular structures actually support our bodies in very similar ways that they are able to support a plant or the system of a plant. But when we're talking about emotional intelligence and emotional mastery, which is exactly what we're here to talk about, essential oils are awesome tools to grab for, because when you're working with a company that produces 100% pure essential oils, which I know doTERRA does, you are ultimately using the active components within that plant immune system. And what that means is, let's revert real quick back to 7th or 8th grade chemistry. We as humans are ultimately these big balls of swirling atoms, swirling molecules. Each atom, each molecule, each chemical has its own unique and can be measured frequency. So think about all of the electrons, neutrons, protons working together with that central atom, and they're held together by a type of energy. There's kinetic energy within those atoms, there's potential energy within those atoms, and there's a vibration within each atom, each chemical component, each element that's going to be unique to a particular chemical. Well, as human individuals, we each have unique chemistries. each of us have a completely different makeup than the guy next to us, than that guy over there. Then we each have unique chemical makeup. So we each have our own unique chemical frequency. We have our own unique vibration. In the same way, essential oils, especially with active components, are also going to have a specific energy. And the really fun thing when it comes to emotions is that each oil has a specific frequency or vibration that can lend itself to the support of the vibration of particular emotions. What? Emotions have a frequency? Absolutely, because they're a thought. And in order to create that thought, we have a chemical process that has occurred. And thus, each emotion has its own chemical frequency. It has its own vibration. Essential oils also have their own specific vibration. So when we're wanting to support a specific type of emotion or maybe raise our personal vibration, because ultimately the higher our physical vibration goes, it brings our emotional frequency up with it. So when we're wanting to really boost our physical emotional system, we want to raise our vibration. We want to grab for an oil that's literally going to really tap into a range of vibrations, into a frequency range to help us really kind of fit into the emotion that we're looking to fit into. So that being said, one of the reasons that these two oils are my favorite for emotional intelligence are because they have two very different functions, but they work very well together. So first I'm going to talk about Copaiba. And again, Copaiba is a cannabinoid. So don't let that scare you. Cannabinoids are not scary. That basically means that within our bodies, this with our endocannabinoid system. This particular essential oil does not work with the subsystem that affects active results. So we're not going to get high when we use essential oils. It's instead going to work with our inflammatory system and our endocrine system. And that's huge because our endocrine system deals with our hormones, which basically deals with everything in our body, right? Every single thing in our body has to do with a hormone because hormones are literally chemical messengers within our body that tell one thing to do the next thing, to then synthesize this protein, to then create this reaction and this muscle movement, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a cascade system. The endocrine system is a cascade system that uses hormones as chemical messengers and produces a result. And as a side note, it also produces, with those hormones, huge emotions. It produces different emotions as part of the physical system, right? So when you're dealing with physical stuff, Copaiba can be great to grab for anything where you feel like your hormones are out of whack. It's going to support your nervous system. I'll chat a little bit about this, but I actually have a tremor, and Copaiba was one of the first things that actually helped me start to redefine fine motor movements in my left hand and in my head. So that was huge for me, and I've actually, with Copaiba, worked with the UC Health System, with practitioners and Alzheimer's patients and Parkinson's patients with regard to support for long-term neurological issues and inflammatory issues. So Copaiba is a really great one physically, but again, when we're shifting into the emotional realm of mastery of essential oils, we're going to want to start looking at which emotional range particular oils can support. And when I talk about oils, a lot of times I'll say this oil is the oil of fill in the blank. Well, Copaiba is the oil of unveiling. So when we're talking about the hard hitters, really dealing with emotions, it's been said a couple times already this week, emotional intelligence comes with dealing with the emotions, not just, oh, there's an emotion, I'm going to say that I dealt with it and then move on. We really have to allow ourselves as humans to let those emotions enter our bubble, let them enter our human experience, and let them process. And I'm actually feeling very emotional today. And of course, the first one I reached for, but I'm going to give a quick little personal connection. My dad actually passed very unexpectedly about 2.5 months ago. And I will probably cry through this, but that's okay because they're big emotions and we're just dealing with them, right? So my dad passed very unexpectedly. We thought he was perfect. He was 65, and 2.5 months ago, he was on a run on vacation and had a massive heart attack. And it sent my entire family reeling. My family is very close. My dad is my hero. He is an amazing leader. And I knew that this was something that I needed to not just scoot under the rug. I didn't feel like it would honor him to just try to muscle my way through the emotions that hit with the grief. And so the next day, morning after I got the news that he had passed, I called one of my mentors and I met with her. And I said, I need to figure out how to deal with this because I can't hold on to this and I need to process this properly. And from that situation, I actually walked away with 2 things. Number one, she said, that's not a thing. Everybody processes differently, and processing wrong is not a thing. So give yourself grace, give yourself compassion. You will process the way that your unique human body needs to process. Okay, great. Got that. Then she also said, when you surrender to the emotions that come your way with something as big as this, especially with the unexpected piece, you actually let those emotions wash over you, wash through you. Surrender is key. Otherwise, those emotions are going to turn into a wall for you where you're constantly butting up against that wall and you're seeing those same issues with those emotions that you haven't processed yet over and over and over again. And that's not what you want to do. You want to process it. You want to celebrate it. You want to allow yourself to be human in this experience. Okay, so what I walked away from that was surrender. And I was all about it. Surrender. And she said, surrender, and that will then let you process them more quickly. Well, heck yes, please. I don't want to have to drag this on forever. This is going to be something that I'm going to be dealing with for quite a while. And that's okay because that's perfectly human. But I want to be able to process completely and fully to then move on to what's next. And so I immediately grabbed for Copaiba. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about what Copaiba was the oil of. I just felt like I needed it. And then, of course, reminded myself that Copaiba is the oil of unveiling, which basically means that if we're onions and we're taking apart layer by layer, and we're exposing ourselves, we're allowing ourselves to really connect with all of those feelings underneath the surface. That is true surrender. And that is true acknowledgement and validation of our strength, of our power in wherever we're standing, even if it doesn't feel good. And it seems really counterintuitive. Like, all right, pain of negative emotions, bring it on. But that's actually, as humans, exactly what we need to be doing is allowing this to, again, be a wave, wash through us, wash over us, let it hurt. And I can guarantee you, for me, it comes in waves. There are days where I feel like I'm going to throw up. I feel like I'm going to just start sobbing wherever I am. Some days I feel like I can't breathe. And in those moments, that's my body telling me it's time to process. It's time to cry it out. A lot of times as humans, we don't want to cry it out. No, thank you. Even as parents, it's hard for me, even now with my kiddos and doing the work that I do, to cry about this loss in front of my kids, because then I'm not being their rock. But yes, I am, because showing emotion, being vulnerable, getting to the root of the emotion, allowing it to process, acknowledging that as humans, this is our gift. We get to process the emotions. Easier said than done. But when you're having trouble really letting those emotions come through you, come to you, Copaiba is going to be a beautiful one to grab for. Copaiba can go in the diffuser. It can go on your body. These two ways of getting them into your system and onto your system are ways where they're not going to pass through the first pass mechanism, which is your liver ultimately. So yes, you're going to be wanting to drink a lot of water to clear, to cleanse, but they're not going to affect or overload your liver when you put them on or put them in the diffuser, smell them, get them into your amygdala or your emotional system. That's what we want to affect, right? And then don't forget, with essential oils, after 20 minutes, that essential oil has affected every single cell of your body, including your brain, because the molecules of essential oils through the blood-brain barrier. Awesome. When you take them internally, which I do sometimes for my tremor, you can take them in veggie caps. You can put a drop under your tongue. You're going to want to take lots and lots of water because now they are going through your liver. But a lot of times with particular oils, when you take them internally, you're actually getting an exponential benefit, because as the liver breaks down those molecules of the essential oil, the metabolites or the broken down pieces are also beneficial to your body. So you're kind of getting this added bonus when you take it internally. Personally, I think it smells and tastes like feet. So I'm kind of choosy about taking it internally, but putting it on your wrists, smelling it, putting it on your feet because they're far away so you don't have to smell it. Those are great ways of getting Copaiba into your system. Feel like you're dealing with a really raw, core, intense emotion. But what happens when you use that, you feel like you're processing appropriately, you're really getting in touch with this emotion, why it's occurring, what you're needing to process and deal with, and then you're left raw and open. And now what? That's where Rose comes in. Rose actually happens to be with the highest electromagnetic frequency on the planet. So whatever emotion you're dealing with, it could even be contentment, it could be joy. Using Rose is still going to increase the vibration of your physical system and up your mood, up your emotions, take you to that next emotional level. And when you're dealing with emotions, negative emotions, and maybe you're feeling raw and vulnerable after you really deal with those, you need basically like an oil hug, and that's where Rose comes in. And so you can roll it anywhere. I know that Rose can be taken internally, but Rose is a lot harder to process as an oil, and so it's going to be a lot more expensive to get as just the oil. So putting it on your body is going to work just as well. And Rose is also the oil of, take a wild guess, divine love. That's what we're really all shooting for in terms of our emotional frequency. We're shooting for love. We want to come at the world with a place of love. We want to acknowledge and respect ourselves from a place of love. And when you come at the world, come at doesn't quite sound like what I'm trying to say. When you are wanting to approach the world from a place of calm, ineffable, I love this word, ineffable power, it all has to do with love. I actually have written on my bathroom mirror, infinite power comes from love. Love. It's all about love. So wherever you are, after you actually deal with those emotions, Rose is going to lift your vibration so that you're coming from a place of love. You're coming from a place of to shift your perspective in a place of, thanks, body, for processing that way. Thank you for grieving, because otherwise I wouldn't know the difference between what feels really great and what it feels like to be in a new position. Because grief is really the fear of what's next. Grief is, yes, it's leaving something behind potentially, but grief is truly the fear of a new dynamic, of what's next. So this is where coming from love is so important. We get to let go of that fear. We get to just love what's around us in whatever capacity that looks like. And we get to move forward because we've talked about forgiveness. Moving forward is absolutely key to our emotional mastery. We can't just keep piling good on top of stuff that we haven't processed yet. It's going to weigh us down. So these two are going to be beautiful ones to deep dive, even when it seems scary, even when it seems really, really uncomfortable, because it can get really uncomfortable. But as soon as you surrender, and I can tell you this is true from my experience with the last 2 months, as soon as you surrender, your body actually processes so much more quickly, and it makes room for the next emotion that needs to get processed. Your body really only processes one thing at a time, and the universe doesn't let you process until you're ready to process the next thing. So take on that one thing, allow it to happen, surrender. Do that with Copaiba in your diffuser, on your feet, over your heart, and then let yourself heal with a frequency of love. Grab that rose, put it on you, re-lift your frequency, re-lift your vibration, move forward and prepare yourself for the next super hard-hitting emotion. And this is going to get easier, I promise. It's uncomfortable until it's not, until it just is. So I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Emotions, come on, bring them. And grab for your Copaiba, grab for your rose, and don't be scared of the emotions, because there's the fear of, this is really going to hurt. I don't want to deal with this. I want to run away. But I promise that it's not as bad as you think it is, and it's actually going to feel so much better once you actually deal with it. I love you all, and I will talk to you next week. And again, thanks for being patient with my video instead of my live.